a fixed-wing plane unexpectedly crashed into an area controlled by drug dealers. It quickly caught the attention of 3 drug dealers. They opened the cabin door and looked inside. To their surprise, they found a wooden box welded shut with chains. They thought they had struck gold. The box must be filled with treasure. So they entered the cabin. 2 henchmen were tasked with moving the box down. Meanwhile, the boss went to check the cockpit. He discovered a deeply unconscious female pilot. Seeing her exposed figure, the boss's eyes sparkled with desire. He immediately reached for her, but unexpectedly, with that touch, he found a large sum of cash, which was stuck behind the seatbelt. So he pulled out a knife to cut the seatbelt and access the money. But the next second, the boss never expected to meet such a grim fate, but he was not wronged at all, because the woman was the infamous Dominica, who had even killed the leader of the German mafia. Meanwhile, the 2 henchmen outside were trying to open the box, but the chains were impossible to break. One was getting ready to grab a pair of pliers, but just as he reached the vehicle, strange noises came from behind him. He turned around to look, only to find his companion dead. In terror, he prepared to flee. A gun was pressed against his back. That's right, it was Nick. Without hesitation, Nick disarmed him, then threatened the man to move the box into the truck bed. Seeing the man struggle, it was clear that what was inside was not light. After the man got the box into the truck, Nick shot him without hesitation. He then drove away in the drug dealer's car, but at the gas station, the attendant recognized the car. These drug dealers were infamous locally, so to avoid unnecessary trouble, Nick buried his chained wooden box. Then, he went to a secluded area, brought a can of gasoline, and poured it all over the truck, then lit it on fire, turning the truck to ashes. He thought this would erase his traces, but little did he know it was all wishful thinking, because that same day, the police discovered the bodies of 3 people, and the leader turned out to be the sheriff's brother-in-law. Due to this connection, local police were on the same page, focused only on making money, even taking gold teeth from the dead, using extremely cruel methods. Agent Leo is the exception. He despises criminals. Chief Lucas is determined to find the killer. He has arrested all newcomers in town. In this land, he is the law. No one dares to oppose him. If anyone argues or refuses to comply, they face the acid pool. Everything happening now is recorded by Leo's pinhole camera. He is tired of their activities and plans to take them down. After cleaning up the mess, Nick found a local bar, hoping to have a drink to calm down, but unexpectedly ran into Leo, who was searching for newcomers. Seeing Nick alone, Leo approached him. Out of goodwill, he urged Nick to leave soon, as things aren't safe here. Just as he finished speaking, Nick was bumped into by a young couple, almost causing a conflict, but Leo stopped them just in time, calming their anger. This made Nick lower his guard against Leo, and they went back to Leo's place. After a wonderful spring night, they awoke feeling exhausted. Just as Leo was about to ask Nick about coming here, his phone suddenly rang here. It was the sheriff calling. Due to the urgent situation, he had to rush over, and reminded Nick to go to his sister's room if he needed the bathroom. Leo's sister is named Kyra, and since her husband's death, she returned home with her 3 children, living with Leo and their father, with Leo being the only one earning money, making life quite tight financially. But the family still found joy together. It was the evening of the eldest daughter's birthday, and Kyra threw a lively party for her. The atmosphere was vibrant. Nick sat nearby, drinking quietly and watching everything. His mind was elsewhere, while Leo was watching a video in the room, the content of which was evidence of Lucas and his men killing innocents, spanning as much as 40 hours. Then he contacted officials from the Interior Ministry, hoping they could collaborate with the CIA to completely eliminate Lucas and his gang of corrupt cops. As soon as he finished speaking, the official tossed aside his cigarette and issued a command. Moments later, several armed thugs came down from the vehicle. Leo was completely unaware of all this. He was knocked unconscious by his opponent. A night passed quickly. At this point, Leo was beaten beyond recognition. He was covered in scars. Sitting across from him was Sheriff Lucas. The reason for the violence against Leo was to force him to hand over a copy of the evidence. But Leo said nothing. Such an action sealed his fate. Sure enough, the next morning, Leo's head appeared at his front door, along with his heartless colleagues. Kira witnessed this scene, and she nearly broke down. Her niece wept uncontrollably in her boyfriend's arms. The lead fat man looked regretful, but his expression suddenly changed, because he saw a powerful woman, and that woman was Nick. The officers present showed looks of confusion. Nick strode confidently toward the crowd. Her eyes gleamed. The fat man quickly perked up. Meanwhile, his subordinates found the computer with the backup. They were about to leave, when suddenly, the fat man's phone rang. It was a call from Lucas. It was about the road. Water villa. The big guy was about to instruct his men to act, when a bullet hit the fence beside him. It was fired by Leo's father. All the police were on high alert, and Nick snatched the gun away from the big guy. He quickly shot him with a few bullets. The big guy wanted to resist, but Nick shot him in the head, then dragged his body, hiding behind it, as bullets flew around him, but nothing affected him. When the enemy was reloading, Nick shoved the big guy aside, and started shooting at the group, taking them down effortlessly. After emptying his magazine, Nick grabbed the driver's weapon, quickly pulled the trigger to take him out, and then shot at the one trying to escape. Although he ultimately let the enemy escape, it was all part of his plan. Turning around, Nick took the backup computer from the car. Looking at Leo's head at the door, he was momentarily speechless. The fleeing officer soon met Sheriff Lucas. Upon learning that all his men were dead, Lucas flew into a rage, blaming his men for being useless. But when he learned that a foreign woman killed them, Lucas was momentarily incredulous. He wants to see who this foreign woman is. He orders his men to block all the exits. Not even a fly should get through. He then walked to Leo's door. He saw corpses of his men everywhere. At that moment, Nick raised his gun and left. He came out. This one of mine. Now that you've seen me. What's next? To every place. M is online. Then this isn't history. It's peaceful now. I don't have an office. There's no way. No matter how skilled you are.